Now that we've covered the basics, we can move to the Pro Editor. First, we'll take a look at some of the options you get when working with objects, so fire up the Pro Editor and let's get to work. We're going to begin by looking at the advanced options we get with most objects in the game. I'll begin by spawning the same object we used as an example when we discussed objects in the Light Editor. All the basic controls for selecting, moving, and rotating the object are the same. The big difference comes when we open the Object's Properties menu. As in the Light Editor, if the item has variations, that'll be your first option. Scroll left or right to choose the variation you wish to use. Next, we have a few checkboxes that are not available in the Light Editor. These are pretty self-explanatory. Visibility determines if the object is visible or not. Generally speaking, you will usually have this box checked so that the object is visible. Physics is the box you will check if you want the object to have dynamic physics. Checking this box means that when the object is within the physics range, it will react to outside forces more or less as it would in the real world. Lock to driving line does just that. Objects with this box checked will stay on the driving line. Keep in mind that for this to have any effect, the object must also have active dynamic physics. The next option on the list is Advanced Physics. This is the menu that will let you really get in there and manipulate how your object reacts when physics are active. If the object is breakable, you will first have hit points. You can adjust this value to determine how much damage the item can take before it breaks. Mass sets the weight of your object. Friction sets how much resistance the surface of an object has to other objects. For example, if we set the friction on a flat plate to 0, the bike or any other object that hits that surface will slide across it as if it were ice. Linear damping can be used to slow down the linear movement of your object. At 0%, the object will react normally. At 50%, the object will move a bit slower. And at 100%, the object will strongly resist any linear movement. Angular damping does the same thing, but for angular motion, or spin. At 0%, the object will spin normally. At 50%, it'll spin more slowly, and at 100%, it will resist spinning at all. Our next checkbox is Disable Global Dampening. Global dampening simulates the real-world forces that would slow an object's movement, like the friction caused by moving through the air. Checking this box disables this force, giving your object a little more freedom of movement. Restitution sets how much bounce the object has. 0 is no bounce, 100 is max bounce. Buoyancy determines how much your object will float in water. A value of 0 will sink right to the bottom. A max value of 1000 will resist entering the water at all and will bounce around on the surface. Disable World Gravity does just what it sounds like. It removes the effects of gravity on that object, allowing it to float around as if it was in space. If you choose to disable World Gravity, you can then choose a custom gravity setting specifically for that item. A negative number will pull the object down. A positive number will actually pull it up. Physics type has a few different settings for your object. Default means the object will behave normally. Contact response means the object will have collision, even if it is invisible. No contact response means the object will not have any collision, even when visible, but can still be used as a hit trigger, which we will cover a little later when we get to triggers and events. And finally, decoration only means the object has no type of collision at all. The main use for this is to improve performance if you have a lot of decoration objects that are slowing your track's frame rate. We have 3 more checkboxes to round out the Advanced Physics tab. Collision sound determines if the object's collision sound plays when it is hit by the bike or other objects. You can select Fast Object to prevent fast-moving objects from going through other objects. However, checking this box can also slow performance. Reset Position and Checkpoint Restart does just what it sounds like. If you reset your rider to the previous checkpoint, it'll reset that object to its starting position. Now that we're done with Advanced Physics settings, we can back out to the Object's Properties menu. The last 2 items on this menu are the same as they were in the Light Editor. Colorize brings up the color picker so you can set the colors of the object. Save to Favorites allows you to save the objects to your favorites, which we will cover in the lesson Gluing, Grouping, and Favorites.